Good morning, everyone. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about main group organometallic compounds, and this lecture would be the part one of this topic. So let us continue. So first of all, what are organometallic compounds? So as we know that all the organometallic compounds, they are characterized by the presence of metal carbon bond. So on one side we have a metal here, and on the other side we have carbon. And we all know that metals are by nature electropositive. So in that case, the metal part it tends to attain a positive charge, and the carbon it is however it is not that electronegative. But yes, its electropositivity is quite lesser than the metals, so it has a tendency to attain a negative charge. So here, so many metals they can be involved, and they can be the transition metals, they can be the main group elements, and the all the other elements between these two categories. They are also known to form the compounds with the carbon. So generally, all the organometallic compounds they are characterized by the presence of a direct linkage with carbon. And generally it has been seen that these organometallic compounds they are at the ordinary temperature they are low melting crystals, they can be liquid, they can be gases, and generally they are soluble in the weakly polar organic solvent like toluene, ethers, alcohols, and they can show variable chemical properties. So that depends upon the nature of the metal carbon bond, what type of bonding is involved. So let us classify the organometallic compounds on that basis, on the property of the metal carbon bond. So we can have ionic as well as the covalent type of metal carbon bond. And you know that the ionic bond is what? When you have a clear charge separation between the two centers. So when you have a clear charge separation in the metal carbon bond, where your metal is having a positive charge and your carbon is having negative charge. So that is what the case of the ionic type of organometallic compounds. Then we have the covalent organometallic compounds, and here the electron deficient metals, they must be having some, their electropositivity is quite lesser than the main group elements, and they have high half-filled valency shells, and they form the strongly polarizing cation. So in that case, the metal carbon bond it attains a covalent nature, and therefore we can classify them into the electron precise type of metals, and they can be the electron rich type of metals in which the electron density is quite high, and in the electron precise, the electron density is lump sum in nature. So now let us see the reactivity. So if you look at the periodic table, this arrow indicates the increase in the reactivity of organometallic compounds. So for the group 1 and group 2 metals, when they are involved in the organometallic bond formation, so they are very, very reactive, and that is due to the ionic nature of these type of compounds. Because the group 1 and group 2 metals, they are known for their electropositive character. While we move, if we move towards the other groups like 12, 13, 14, 15, their electropositive character is intermediate, and they can be the electron precise elements or electron rich elements. So as you can notice here, when the ionic character in the metal carbon bond increases, it actually increases the reactivity of the organometallic compound. So here on this part we have the ionic organometallic compound, and on this part we have the covalent organometallic compound. In the covalent category also, the metals that have a strong tendency to form alkyl and aryl bridged species, they are able to form the bridged species with the alkyl or aryl groups, like we have lithium, beryllium, sodium, magnesium, and even the aluminium. They tend to form the polymeric bridged species of organometallic compound. And also we have in the yellow color we have the elements that form the volatile covalent organoderivatives. So these are the organometallic compounds formed by these metals, which are indicated here in the yellow color. They all are known to form the organometallic compound which are volatile in nature. So in general, the reactivity it parallels the ionic character of the CM bond. Higher the reactivity, greater will be the ionic character of the carbon metal bond. Now let us see the different classes of organometallic compound. So we have ionic characters present in the M plus R negative type of bond, which are formed by the highly electropositive metals. So in this category, we are generally including the group 1 and group 2 type of metals in the periodic table. So alkali metals and alkaline earth metals, they are included in this category. They are forming this ionic type of organometallic compounds. Now, these compounds are having some very peculiar characteristic, like they are very reactive in nature, their melting point is very high, then their volatility is quite low. So you can imagine that they are solid at the room temperature and low and negligible solubility in the non-polar and non-coordinating solvent. So now you can imagine by this property that their ionic character is so high that they are generally practically insoluble in the non-polar solvent. Like we know that the concept of light dissolves light. So if a compound is ionic in nature, it is soluble in the ionic or you can say the polar solvent. And if the compound is covalent by nature, so then in that case it dissolves in the non-polar type of solvent. So their solubility actually indicates their ionic character and they are negligibly soluble in the non-polar solvent. So like all the other organometallic compounds which are generally soluble in the non-polar solvent, these category, the ionic organometallics, they are insoluble in the non-polar solvents. Now, we also know the highly polar covalent type of solvent. Yes, they are not ionic in nature, but they have that polarity in the bond. The charge separation between the metal carbon bond, yes, it exists. And these type of compounds are also formed by the group 1 and group 2 type of metals. So for this, we have the lithium compounds, aluminium alkyls, we have Grignard reagent. So these compounds are also formed by the group 1 and group 2 metals. The bond is covalent bond between the metal and the carbon, but with a high degree of polarity. So here the polarity of the bond, the polarity that exists in the metal carbon bond, it is the prime source of reactivity for such compounds. Now they used to adopt the associated structure. It is not that only they exist in the simple molecular form, rather they form bridged species in which the alkyl groups which are present in the organometallic compound, they form bridges between the different metal atoms. And therefore these type of compounds like the lithium alkyls, the aluminum alkyls, they actually they are known to exist in the polymeric structures, and their bonding power of the electron pair, it spread over more than two atoms. So these associated structures, they are characteristic of this class of organometallic compound. Then another category of organometallic compound we have is the slightly polar covalent. And these slightly polar covalent, you can imagine that they are formed by those main group elements which we have just seen in the periodic table in the yellow color. So they are characterized by their less electropositive behavior. So all the metals in the group 12, 13, 14, 15, which are actually these metals, they have less electropositive character. So yes, they are known to form bond with the carbon, but that bond is what it is having less polarity, and therefore they behave like organic compounds. So uh, now they are more like the covalent compounds, and now they become soluble in the non-polar solvent just like the other organic compounds. So their behavior quite becomes similar to the normal organic compounds. They have low melting point, they have high volatility, and they are soluble in the non-polar solvent. So, like right now, we have seen three categories of the main group organometallic compounds. Those organometallic compounds which are formed by the main group elements, they can be polar in nature, ionic in nature, they can be highly polar in nature, and they can be slightly polar in the nature. So that actually that is due to a wide variation in the electropositivity of the main group elements. Like we know that for the group 1 and group 2, the metals are highly electropositive, but for other groups, from group 12 to group 15, the metals, they are their electropositivity actually varies in a quite a wide range. So in that case, we can have a highly polar covalent organometallic compound and slightly polar covalent organometallic compounds. Now let us talk about the stability of these organometallic compounds. So we have the very first property, that is the oxidation, and we all know that oxidation is what, when there is a loss of electron, we call it oxidation. So all the organometallic compounds, they are thermodynamically unstable and they quickly oxidize. So this is actually a very important property of especially the main group organometallics. They quickly oxidizes themselves, and that is due to the large negative free energy of the formation of metal oxides, carbon dioxide and water. So once the organometallic compound of the main group element, once it oxidizes, what are the products? When the products are really so stable, in that case reaction takes place so quickly. So let us look at the product. So when the main group organometallic compound, it oxidizes even in the presence of atmospheric air, what will be formed? There will be the formation of metal oxide. So if you look at the metal oxide of the main group elements, especially the group 1 and group 2, their oxides are very very stable, and the carbon dioxide in water, again very stable molecule. So because the products are highly stable, so in that case, the main group organometallic compounds, they tends to achieve stability by this process of oxidation. So thermodynamically, they are very unstable and they quickly oxidize it. Now, many they are kinetically unstable to oxidation at or below the room temperature. So when we talk about the kinetic instability, that becomes the lability. So they are thermodynamically unstable as well as they are labile for the process of oxidation. So this is associated with the presence of empty low-lying orbitals on the metal atom or a non-bonding pair of electrons. So that due to that nature, it quickly loses the electron and get oxidized. So, if you in both the aspects, if you look at the kinetic aspect, if you look at the thermodynamic aspect, in both the characters, the main group organometallic compounds, they are very very prone to oxidation and they quickly oxidize. So that makes them really unstable, and that is why sometimes it becomes really difficult to isolate them from the reaction mixture. So many of the organometallic compounds of the main group elements, they cannot be isolated yet, just because of their very little stability. Then the second reaction that is shown by the main group organometallic compound, it is the hydrolysis. So hydrolysis is what, when a compound reacts with water. So you can imagine that in these type of organometallic compounds, what is going to happen? The water will behave like a nucleophile, and that is due to the presence of lone pair of electrons on the oxygen. So when the oxygen is having lone pair of electron, it wants to donate it somewhere. So it becomes a potential nucleophile and it is searching for the positive charge. So they involve the nucleophilic attack by water, and it is always facilitated by the presence of empty low-lying orbitals on the metal atom which can accept electron. So these metal orbitals, they are able to accept the electrons, and therefore what happens? The hydrolysis takes place so quickly. So when we talk about the organometallic compounds of group 1 and 2, and those compounds formed by the zinc, cadmium, aluminium, gallium, indium, they all are readily hydrolyzed. So you can attribute this feature due to the presence of empty low-lying orbitals on the metal atom. So they are able to accept the electron donated by the oxygen atom, and therefore this nucleophilic attack by the water takes place so quickly. So they quickly hydrolyze even in the presence of atmospheric moisture. And again, you can say that they are really unstable in nature. Now, if you talk about the rate of the hydrolysis, whether it is fast, whether it is slow, so it depends upon the bond polarity of the metal carbon bond. So, higher will be the bond polarity of the metal carbon bond, greater will be the ease with which hydrolysis will take place. So, you can expect a very high rate of hydrolysis for ionic type of organometallic compound, because in that case the polarity of the bond will be very high. So similar on the similar note, you can say that alkyl and aryls of the group 14 and group 15, they're kinetically inert to hydrolysis. And now what happens? Because the polarity of the bond is quite low. You know that they are slightly polar covalent organometallic compounds. So when the polarity decreases to a minimum, in that case, the organometallic compound becomes kinetically inert to the water hydrolysis, and therefore the group 14 and group 15, they are alkyls and aryls. Their hydrolysis reactions are not very well known. Now, there could be another reason for that, because the metal atoms, they are surrounded by a filled shell of 8 electrons. So metal is already having so many electrons with itself. So now it does not require more electrons donated by the oxygen atom. So now what happens? The nucleophilic attack is no longer favored. Nucleophilic attack by the water molecule, it is not required. Metal atom is already having so many electrons. So the nucleophilic attack is not required, and therefore it is kinetically inert. So they become resistant towards the hydrolysis, and therefore their stability increases a lot as compared to the group 1 and group 2 organometallics. Now we have a main group metal carbon bond formation, how this bond is formed. So this type of bond, this type of main group organometallic compounds, they are formed by the reaction of metal with the organic halogen compound. So here you have the metal in the elemental state 2M plus NRX, this is alkyl halide, and when they react together, what happens? This R group Rn, it is transferred to the metal atom, and the metal forms the metal halide, and now these two are separated. So it can also be RxMxy when x plus y is equal to n. When x plus y is equal to n means when this type of equation permits, then what happens? The Grignard reagent type of compound are also formed. This is the formula for the Grignard reagent. So when this reaction takes place, it is actually driven by the exothermic formation of the metal halide. The formation of this type of metal halide, MXN, it is what? It is an exothermic reaction. So whenever this reaction takes place, it is always facilitated in the forward direction. And this reaction is also very suitable for the synthesis of organometallic compounds of the most electropositive elements. Most of the electropositive elements, especially the group 1, group 2, and other few elements that we have seen in the case in the previous slides, they are actually quite electropositive, and they are organometallic compounds. They can be synthesized by this manner. Then the next reaction which we can use for the synthesis of main group organometallic compound, it is the metal exchange. So by simply transmetallation reaction, we can synthesize their organometallic compound. So here you can see we have one metal M and another metal M dash, and this is the alkyl of this metal. So when the metal exchange reaction takes place, now the alkyl group, it leaves the M dash metal and get attached to the M. So in the product we get Rm plus M dash. So this is what simple metal exchange reaction. And here you can imagine that the second metal, which is containing the alkyl group, obviously it is less electropositive. Therefore, it quickly transfers the alkyl group to the more electropositive metal M. So it is actually dependent on the difference in the free energies of the formation of two species, Rm dash and Rn. Now, they can be endothermic or weakly exothermic organometallic compounds, and should be the most versatile reagent Rm dash in such reaction. They are the compounds of mercury, thallium, lead, and bismuth. So, especially the organomercury compound, they are used for such a transmetallation reaction, and they quickly transfers their alkyl group to the other more electropositive metal. Then further we can talk about the reactions of organometallic compounds with the metal halide. So when the compound of the uh, alkyl metals, they react with the metal halide, then what happens? Again, there is a transfer of the metal atom between the two groups. So here you see we have Rm plus M dash X. So here when the reaction is performed, this M dash is transferred to the R, and this M get attached with the X. So in the result, you have the halide of the first metal and alkyl of the second metal. So again, there is an exchange of the metal atoms, and this is also a type of transmetallation. So the most widely used and versatile of all the laboratory methods. This is very quick method. And again, what type of M dash X compound we are using here? What type of Rm we are using here? So the Rm, in which your metal M, it should be less electropositive, and in the M dash X, the metal should be highly electropositive. So here the most commonly used reagent for such type of synthesis. They are the organolithium and Grignard reagent. They are very commonly used here. Now we can also see here the method like insertion of the alkene and alkyne into the metal or non-metal hydride bond. So when you have a metal hydride bond, alkene can be inserted there, and in that case, what happens? You get another organometallic compound that is between forming the bond between the metal and the carbon atom. But this time your ligand would be some alkene or alkyne. So that is simply inserted in the metal hydrogen bond. Like you can see here the example of hydroboration reaction. And in the hydroboration reaction, you have a boron hydride here, boron attached to the hydrogen. So when the alkene, this type of alkene or substituted alkene, it enters inside the between the B and H bond, you get a organometallic compound of boron. So this type of reaction is called as hydroboration reaction. Similarly, we have the hydrosylation reaction, and here what happens? The alkene group or the substituted alkene, it is inserted between the silicon hydrogen bond. So now you get what? You get a organometallic compound of silica, and similar type of reactions are also known for the magnesium. So when we have the silicon atom here, you call it hydrosylation. So these hydroboration and hydrosylation reactions, they are also very important when we are synthesizing the main group organometallic compounds. Now, you can also imagine the other insertion reactions like addition of a species AB to the unsaturated system where you have X double bond Y or X triple bond Y. So, when you have a double or triple bond between the two species, then in that case, that unsaturation, it can be overcome by addition of some species like AB. So here A would be any metal and B would be any of the salt, like it can be any other metal, it can be carbonate, nitrate, phosphate, or oxygen or halide. So B would be any of the species which can be inserted here between the unsaturated species. So it is just reverse of the previous case. In that case, the species, the organic species was introducing inside the metal hydrogen bond, and here the metal and the anionic part, they are inserted inside the unsaturated system. So this is also a method for synthesis of main group organometallic compounds. Now let us talk about the organometallic compounds of group 1. So if you talk about the group 1, what are the elements in the group 1? We have hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium. These seven metals are included. So among them, the hydrogen you can eliminate. We are not talking about the hydrides of the metal. But now let us start with the lithium. So the lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. They all are known to form the organometallic compound. However, in the case of cesium, they are very less known or they are not known to us. But we can focus on the organometallic compounds. If we talk about the group 1, we can focus on the organolithium, organosodium, and organopotassium type of compounds. So these are the metals. They have a very high electropositivity, and when they form bond with the carbon, that bond involves a high degree of polarity or ionic character. So that bond becomes ionic. And like we have seen in the previous slide, that whenever the ionic character is introduced in the bond, in that case, what happens? That ionic character make it prone to oxidation, make it prone to hydrolysis reaction, and overall stability of the organometallic compound is actually reduced in this case. So let us summarize the characteristic of the organometallic compounds of group 1 metals. So first of all, like I told you, they are highly reactive in nature, and their reactivity is due to the polarity of the bond, due to the ionic character of metal carbon bond. Then second point is they react readily with the oxygen. So even in the traces of oxygen if present, they should be excluded when you are storing them, because even in the slightest exposure to the oxygen, they decompose it. So they are highly reactive and they are never exposed in the air, because if you expose them in the air, what happens? They can react with the atmospheric oxygen, they can react with the atmospheric moisture, and therefore generally they are kept in the closed container in the tight seals. You cannot open them in the air. All the traces of oxygen, they must be excluded. Now, some of them are ionic and some of them are covalent, so it depends. But yes, most of them are ionic in nature, and the reactivity of the heavier alkali metal is due to the negative charge on the carbon atom. So, like I told you, when the bond attains a polar character, ionic character, it actually increases the reactivity of the organometallic compound. Now, if you talk about their methyl, ethyl, and phenyl derivatives of the group 1 organometallic compound, so they are generally they ignite in the air. So you cannot put them in the air. That is due to the rapid oxidation of these organometallic compounds. Potassium and lithium compound, they are more easily oxidized than the lithium analogs. So the potassium and sodium organometallic, they are even less known than the lithium ones. So for the oxidation of the alkyl compound, what happens? Suppose this is your metal atom of group 1 and this is the alkyl group attached. So you have a main group organometallic here. It reacts with the oxygen. So what happens? This oxygen quickly get inserted between the R and F, and you can attribute this behavior to the polar nature or ionic nature of the bond. So this oxygen molecule, it quickly inserted between the alkyl group and the metal, and now further on the further dissociation, what you get an alkoxide. Then let us talk about their protonation and hydrolytic stability. So they are readily hydrolyzed, like we have discussed. They react readily with a variety of proton sources to give the hydrocarbon, that is RH. They deprotonate the solvents, ether in the particular, like ETO plus RLI. When in the presence of in the presence of such solvent like ETO, they what happens? They deprotonate. So here the lithium, it is replaced by the hydrogen, and now the lithium, it attaches itself with the ethyl ethoxy group, and finally you get one alkene molecule which is eliminated in this reaction. So this is the deprotonation reaction. Now let us talk about the organolithium compounds. So what are organolithium compounds? We have a small size and polarizing power of the lithium in these compounds, and it causes the compound to have more covalent character than other group members. So if you talk about the sodium compounds, or you talk about the potassium organopotassium or organosodium compound, they have a certain ionic character. But in the case of the lithium, because the size is so small and the polarizing power is also very less because of the small size of the lithium positive ion. So what happens? They are more towards the covalent character, and therefore they are also very stable as well as compared to the sodium and potassium compounds. So the organolithium compounds, they have one lithium atom and one alkyl group. They are more stable and less reactive than the other organo compounds of group 1, sodium or potassium. So that is due to their lower polarity, the covalent character of the bond. And you can also attribute this factor to the polymeric structure of the lithium compound. Like if you know if you talk about the simplest organolithium compound, that is a methyl lithium. So that methyl lithium is existing in the tetrameric structure. So in that case, four lithium and four methyl group, they are forming a bond around a tetrahedron, and therefore that is also a reason why the organolithium compounds, they are very stable. So their covalent character in the lithium carbon bond, it impart extra stability to such compound, and it is even greater than the other organo compounds of the group 1. So these organolithium compounds, they are very valuable in the synthesis of so many chemical compounds, and that is due to so many reasons. So first is their high reactivity; they quickly react, and it makes them a good alkylating agent. Then they are easily prepared. So once you want to use them, you can easily prepare them also. Their solubility in the inert solvent. So if a compound is soluble in the inert solvent or non-polar solvent, then obviously you can use it for the organic reactions. Otherwise, you cannot use the ionic compounds, ionic organometallic compounds for the organic synthesis, because they will be insoluble in the non-polar solvents. Now we can use them for some kind of synthesis as the Grignard reagent. So just like the Grignard reagent, organolithium compounds are also known for the synthesis of so many categories of the organic compounds. Now, their polar character, it causes the strong association, and therefore, if you look at the geometry of the coordination sphere, it is determined by the steric effect, as in the ionic structure. So, rather than the interaction of the electron pair, they because of the small ionic character they have, they are arranging themselves like the coordination spheres. So, in the case of methyl lithium, just right now I told you methyl lithium, it consists of the tetrameric aggregate in the solid state. So in the solid state, if you can see, 4 lithium and 4 methyl, they are arranged in the form of a coordination sphere in the tetrahedron, and it exists in the tetrameric aggregate. So in the solid state, this type of a structure exists, and in the solution you have Li4CH34, tetra lithium tetra methyl tetra lithium. So these lithium organometallic compounds, they are extremely reactive in nature, and that is due to the polar character of the lithium carbon bond. And but it is not that highly reactive that you cannot use it for any synthesis. If you compare it with the if you compare the behavior with the other group 1 organometallic compounds, then yes, their reactivity is high, but not that high that they are even unstable, and you cannot expose them. They are insoluble in the non-polar solvent. So yes, they are reactive, and we can use them for the organic synthesis. Moderate reactivity is there. Then they are also sensitive to oxygen and moisture, so you cannot expose them in the air. When once you are using the organolithium compound, you need the dry apparatus, and solvent must be used. So even if you are using some organic solvent, it should not contain even the traces of the moisture in it. So when you are using such solvents, when you are using any organic solvent for dissolving the organometallic compounds like this, suppose the lithium organometallic compounds. So when you are using the solvent for this, then solvent must be dried before use. And by drying, if I'm saying the solvent needs to be dried, I'm saying that even the particular traces of the moisture, they need to be removed from the solvent. Otherwise, what will happen? That traces of the moisture will destabilize the lithium organometallic compound, and your organic synthesis will not be completed. Then air must also be excluded in whatever apparatus you are using there. First of all, it needs to be dried, and then air must also be excluded. Otherwise, again, your reaction will not proceed, because your organolithium reagent will be decomposed. So, whenever we are performing such reactions, whenever we carry out any reaction with the help of organolithium compounds, they always need to be carried out in the environment of some inert gas. Like you can use argon, you can use nitrogen. These are the inert gases. So, in their environment, you can perform the reactions of organolithium compounds. Otherwise, even if you have traces of air inside the apparatus, then what will happen? They will not perform any reaction, rather, they will be oxidized, they will be hydrolyzed, and your organic synthesis will not complete. So, these precautions must be taken care of when you are using the organolithium compounds in the organic synthesis. So how we can prepare the lithium organometallic? So for the preparation of lithium organometallic compounds, the lithium metal reacts with the alkyl halide, and as a result of this, what we get? We get the halide of the lithium as well as an alkyl lithium compound. So this reaction we have seen in the previous slide also. The physical state of the lithium is very important, and any coating must be removed, because generally when these metals are stored, the lithium and the sodium, when they are stored, they are generally put inside some inert solvent, because these metals themselves are very reactive, and they cannot be exposed to air or moisture. So when you are using the lithium for this type of reaction, any coating on the surface, that could be any of the oil or solvent, that needs to be removed first of all. So how you will remove that? By washing in the hexane under the inert atmosphere. So you have to produce the atmosphere of the hexane, and in that case you can wash it by using the hexane solvent. So all the oil coating that is actually present due to the storage purpose, you need to remove it before performing this reaction. Now we can also prepare them by metal-metal exchange, that is the transmetallation reaction, and the most important type of transmetallation reagent, they are the organomercury compound. So here mercury being very very stable and electron density very high in them. So what happens? They quickly transfer the R group to Li, and that is also due to the difference in the electronegativity of the two metals. So due to the high electropositive nature of lithium, it quickly takes up the alkyl group, and the elemental mercury is become free now. For this reaction to perform, again you need a dry nitrogen atmosphere, and you need some hydrocarbon solvent, and that also be dried first. So in that case, you can perform the transmetallation reaction and prepare the organolithium compound. Now, they are also convenient route to the vinyl and allyl lithium compound. And here you can see that when you use phenyl lithium, you have this triethylene tin compound, which is used for again a transmetallation type of reaction. And here the lithium and tin, they exchanges their group. So the group which is attached to the tin, it goes to the lithium, and the group which is attached to the lithium, it goes to tin. This is also a type of transmetallation reaction which works for the synthesis of this type of compound. Now next is metal hydrogen exchange reaction. So here this type of reaction is called as the metallation reaction. And here we have phenyl lithium which reacts with this furan, and the lithium is getting attached with the organic group and leaving the uh, benzene free here. So they are believed to involve the nucleophilic attack on the acidic hydrogen atom, and the metal hydrogen exchange halide abstraction is also a mechanism by which we can prepare the phenyl lithium compound. So here RLi is taken, alkyl lithium, and it reacts with the phenyl iodide, which when you perform such reaction, one of the R goes to the iodide, and the phenyl group goes to the lithium. So this aryl halide and alkyl lithium, again they are exchanging the ligand, so you call it a halide abstraction. Now let us look at the reactivity of organolithium compound. So once the nucleophilic attack takes place on the multiple bond, these type of this type of organometallic compound, they plays a very important role, and they quickly attack the unsaturated system and perform such addition reaction. So this is a very important character of the organolithium compound, and this helps us in synthesizing so many type of substituted alkynes. Now, they also react with the halide and ketone, and they are known to form alcohol. So, in that case, they are also involved in the synthesis of alcohols. Then, carboxylic acid salts and acid chloride, they are also known to form the ketones after hydrolysis reaction. Then they react with a halogen molecule, and in that case, the reduction takes place. You get a corresponding alkyl halide, and the lithium halide is also obtained. When the addition reactions are performed like this, you have you can see that the additive product is formed. Br3, you have trialkyl boron plus LIR, the alkyl lithium. So they both are getting added, and you get LiBr4. Then halide abstraction is another important reaction in which the lithium, being very very electropositive, known to abstract the halide from other compounds. So it is transferring the alkyl group to the lesser electropositive metal, and in that case, it is abstracting the halide from the other metal. So this could be one of the very important reaction for the synthesis of organometallic compounds of lesser electropositive elements like boron. Then proton extraction reactions, they are also known, and butyl lithium, it is one of the very important synthetic reagent used in so many reactions. So when the butyl lithium, it reacts with some compound like a C6H, C6F5H, where you have 5 fluoro present on the benzene ring. So here what happens? The one acidic proton is extracted. Then let us talk about the organosodium and organopotassium compounds. So they have considerably carbanionic behavior, and they are very very reactive, and they are highly electropositive, as well as they have a big size than their size is bigger than the lithium. So they are more reactive than the organolithium compound, and they are so reactive that generally they are not used in so many organic synthesis. So the paraffin hydrocarbon, they are most suitable reaction media. You need to perform all the reaction in that solvent. Ethers are cleaved. Aromatic hydrocarbons are methylated. These organosodium and organopotassium compound, they can be prepared by the mercury alkyl method, in which you have used the metallic sodium react with the mercury halide, and this is the transmetallation reaction we have also seen in the case of lithium. And similarly, you can use the lithium alkyl compound, and there could be an exchange reaction between the sodium or potassium tertiary butoxide ion. So after the exchange reaction is complete, in the product you can get the sodium alkyl or potassium alkyl compound. We can also go for the direct reaction between the metal and alkyl or aryl halide, and it is complicated by the exchange and the coupling reaction which leads to the mixture. So the only exception known is what? It is C6H52Na, in which the sodium is getting over the organic compound, and C5H it is liberated. Now, this is a quiz for you from today's lecture. You have to prepare a list of commercially useful organolithium, organosodium, and organopotassium compounds with their respective uses. So, you have to go through the literature available on the internet to perform this exercise. Now, these are the references for today's lecture, and that is all from my side. Thank you so much.